Declaration and roll call vote of subjects discussed in closed meeting. May I have a motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion that we adopt a certificate of closed meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Do we have a second?
I second that.
Thank you, Ms. Diggs. Is there any discussion? Ms. Lau, will you please call the roll for the vote?
Here? Or yes? Sorry.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Item 2.3, approval of personnel action. May I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the personnel action as listed.
Thank you, Mrs. Hodges. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Closed meeting is now adjourned. Good evening. Thank you for being here tonight and for watching at home. Before we start our meeting, I would like to call for a moment of silence for our dear Miss Marie Walls, who was taken from us much too soon. Thank you. And welcome to the February 17th, 2026 Mathews County School Board regular monthly meeting. If you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance by standing and facing the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 1.3, roll call, please. Ms. Lau?
Here?
Here.
Here.
Present.
Present, thank you. Item 1.4, approval of the agenda, additions and deletions. May I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the agenda as listed.
Thank you, Mrs. Hodges. Do we have a second?
I second that.
Is there any, thank you, Ms. Diggs. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item 1.5, the consent agenda. May I have a motion?
I make the motion to approve the minutes of the January 20th, 2026 budget work session, closed meeting, and regular monthly meeting, Thomas Hunter Middle School multi-year school support plan, and monthly claims as presented on the consent agenda.
Thank you, Ms. Diggs. Do we have a second?
Second that.
Thank you, Ms. Bohannon Stewart. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. I would like to mention, Ms. Bohannon Stewart, regarding the claims.
Oh,
Did you want to add some information there?
sure. Since I'm a new member in learning how to do things, I was planning on shadowing Mr. Morgan on March 16th and Mrs. Hodges on May 18th and Dr. Gibbs on at least June 15th and possibly even June 29th.
Terrific. Thank you very much. Item 1.6, our Mathews County School Board governance norms and protocols, and we typically read a couple of those. Mr. Morgan?
Yes. How, when, and whom to notify about volunteering in schools or at school events. All volunteers are run through the school board office as per current policy. How, when, and whom to notify about attending school events, concerts, sporting events, etc. Board members are encouraged to attend school events.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. And just as a reminder to everyone, we will be covering covering the board governance norms and protocols item at our work session next week. We'll be revisiting that and reviewing those. All right. Item 2, questions or comments from our school board student representative. Ms. Ward, good to have you tonight.
Thank you. Okay. Mathews Elementary School kicked off the month celebrating National School Counselors Week. MES is thankful for Mrs. Hockenberry and Mrs. Hargis and for the daily support that they offer for both students and staff. Last week, we celebrated World Kindness Week. Each day we dressed in a different color and we were challenged with certain kindness tasks each day. Some of the tasks included smiling at everyone we see, giving compliments, being a bucket filler, and writing notes of appreciation. Wednesday, February 11th was a big day at MES. We celebrated the 100th day of school. Throughout the building, you could find people dressed up like they were 100 years old. Students did math problems, writing, and reading activities revolving around the number 100. The 100th day of school is a major milestone in an elementary school, and MES celebrated well. On Friday, February 13th, we celebrated Valentine's Day. Students celebrated each other with special notes for their classmates and classroom parties with delicious treats. We took class pictures last week, and we're putting the final touches on the Mathews Elementary School 2025 to 2026 yearbook. We would like to give a shout out to the Gwynns Island Civic League Foundation for replacing the little library outside of our front door. We have a new library and new books, so students have the opportunity to read a book even when the school is closed. In celebration of Black History Month, community members will be visiting MES this Friday for the National African American Read-In. Also on Friday, Dr. Ben Lennon's office will be doing dental screenings for students who have signed permission forms. Third quarter is well underway, and the teachers and staff are working tirelessly to provide safe and happy work environments and to hold high expectations for students. MES students continue to rise to challenges with determination. We are looking forward to dry playgrounds, warmer days, loads of learning, and some exciting spring events at Mathews Elementary School. Here are the updates from Thomas Hunter Middle School. The Seahawks have had a busy month working on learning skills and classes. Students have completed their benchmark assessments in CIP, and teachers are looking at the information from the tests to see where we need to support students. There are spots open for the after-school all-in tutoring. Please call the main office if you have any questions and if you are interested in having your child stay after until 4 o'clock. Monday and Tuesday are for reading support, and Wednesday and Thursday are for math. Students have the opportunity to work with a teacher in these areas to assist them. A big thank you to the THMS SCA for hosting the Winter Ball. Students had a great time dancing and enjoying friends. The SCA also sold candy grams and delivered them to students on Valentine's Day. Congratulations to the following students who were selected as Students of the Month: Lyman Hayes, Aaliyah Page, Austin Sadler, and Charlotte Fielding. On Thursday, February 26th, THMS will be hosting grandparents of our students to join us for breakfast. If you have a grandchild at THMS, please call the office to reserve your spot. Breakfast is $4.75 for adults. Reminder that we have a school-wide goal for no zeros in quarter 3. Please be sure to check your child's grades in Power School. We look forward to a great third quarter. And then for the high school, we've had a lot of exciting things happening at Mathews High School in February. Several Mathews High School students completed their Certified Nursing Assistant certification with the GHSA program. One of our students will also be completing a Patient Care Technician course during the second semester to receive further certifications in the healthcare field. 3 of our students in our FCCLA program have been working on a community service project that recycles old plastic grocery bags and turns them into a crocheted blanket for the homeless. The timing could not be better as we celebrated Kindness Week from February 9th to 13th, with a Kindness Spirit Week where students dressed up to show their kind spirit. We had a really good turnout for our spring sports meeting on Monday, February 9th, and many of our students are excited about the upcoming season. Many of our band members tried out for area band last week, and results should be revealed shortly. FCCLA also baked delicious cookies for a Valentine's Day fundraiser to benefit the Children's Hospital of the King's Daughters. FCCLA also dropped off 116 breakfast bags to Helping the Homeless Ministries on February 3rd and are currently working on the next 100. Students in the Beta Club helped set up for the recent Mathews Chili Cook-Off for the Raritan Club. We appreciate the work of our clubs in helping our community. And that's all.
Excellent report. Thank you, Ms. Ward.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 3, student achievement. Item 3.1, the MCPS student discipline data from Dr. Daniel.
All right. Am I on, Mr. Anthony? Yep, okay. All right, so I'll go through a little bit. We don't typically cover student discipline data as part of this meeting. I think we looked at it for a little bit this time last year. Something to keep in mind with discipline and how it's reported with the state. It's reported based on incident, and then it's often reported based on students. So if you think about a fight, for example, that fight is one incident, but there are 2 students involved. So you may have, you could have maybe 4 students involved in a larger kind of fight. So the data that's presented in front of you is looking at the students and not necessarily the number of incidents. The other thing that I'll kind of help with is SBAR is the student behavior and response is what that acronym stands for. So the descriptors look like for a long time we had discipline codes, DC codes that the state used. This changed probably 5 years ago, and the state started tracking the data a little bit differently. Within each of those rows, so behaviors that impede academic progress, endanger self or others, safety concerns, et cetera, there are multiple subcategories that are within each of those codes. I didn't go into each of those subcategories because it gets a bit overwhelming, and you can also split hairs a little bit on some of those subcategories. But I think to give us an overall sort of picture about where things are, this would do a fairly decent job. So what's covered, what you're looking at is all of the SBAR categories, and looking at the 23-24 school year by school, 24-25 by school, and then this semester thus far of this school year. So you can kind of see the number of students who were cited for those categories, overall total number of incidents, kind of for the year. So you see an uptick from the 23-24 school year into the 24-25. And it looks like for this school year, we're about on pace with what we saw last school year. I would say that's the quantitative aspect of looking at the data. The qualitative piece of that is having conversations with principals. I think the severity of infractions has gone down. So while the number of infractions may have gone up, I think where the principals and the administrators are now able to deal with what I would categorize as some of the nuisance behaviors, some of the class disruption kinds of things. The threshold for what is tolerated has gone down. So not as much as, so I would say the schools, while the numbers are about the same last year to this year, I think the impact of increased focus on sanctions and tier 1 kind of building expectations has had an impact. So teachers are better able to teach, the class disruptions are down, and so the principals are addressing smaller things. So the number looks the same, but the impact, the severity of some of those infractions has gone down quite a bit. I would also argue that when you're looking at the 25-26 school year and the number of students, non-duplicated students, because looking at a student can have multiple infractions over the years or over the course of a school year, and so you can get into, who the repeat offenders are. So looking at this first semester of the 25-26 and comparing it to all of last year, I don't anticipate having 25 new students getting an infraction at the high school. So I think the number of students receiving infractions is also going down. A nuance in looking at the data too is the impact of moving 2 grade levels worth of students from Thomas Hunter to the high school, starting into the 24-25 school year. So in the 23-24 school year, the largest number of students infractions or perpetrators, if you will, that's probably not the great word, but students receiving consequences was 59. So half of Thomas Hunter then moves over to the high school, and so then in 24-25, you see a big jump in terms of infractions at the high school. So the high school adjusts, students adjust, and so you're seeing then a decline in students who are receiving discipline infractions. So there's a lot to go into it behind the numbers, but it's interesting for us to begin tracking this on a more regular basis, looking at the subcategories, and you can get into location within the building, time of day, where these infractions are occurring, because part of that is what's recorded within the SBAR reporting to the state. So it's just one of the many reports that we have to file with the state, and we do it mid-year and then again end-of-year SBAR. So.
And I do think this information is good to hear every once in a while because discipline feeds into our ability to instruct in the classroom for the students to learn. So this is interesting. I had one question on, do you have a description or a definition of relationship behaviors?
Lovely. So some of the relationship behaviors, bullying would probably fall under one of the relationship behaviors. You can get into inappropriate comments to a student, student to student, stuff like that. So again, it kind of runs the gamut from, I don't think fighting, like traditional fighting, is under that. I think that's a safety concern.
Okay.
But
That's what I was getting
I
at.
can provide a broader list of all the subcategories for board members if you guys are interested in seeing. They're also all listed, I can tell you where they're readily available. If you go to the Student Code of Conduct, that is listed on the website.
We can surely
All
look
of those subcategories and a description of those subcategories is listed in the Code of Conduct,
Perfect.
along with the range of consequences. So it'll say level 2 or 3, level 3 to 5, depending on what the infraction is. But all that's listed in the Code of Conduct.
Good, we can refer to that. Members, questions, comments? Overall, this is very pleased.
Yeah, I have to give some thanks to Ms. Foster in the high school counseling office. She's also part of our Power School registrar. That's a big part of her job responsibilities now. So she had to work to extract this data from Power School and from the state reporting for me.
Oh.
So big thanks to her for, because I had some questions. It wasn't lining up with what I was getting out of Power Schools, so we had to, put our heads together, and she was able to get it for me.
Well,
So
we thank Ms. Foster for making us, aiding in our ability to understand this information. Thank you. If there are no more questions, we'll move on to item 4, citizens' questions, comments, or requests. This forum is for comments not pertaining to personnel or student matters. Protocol for public comment period. Mathews County residents and school employees wishing to speak should sign up with their name and address on the sheet provided. Each individual will have 3 minutes to speak. Comment period will end after 90 minutes. All comments should be directed to the school board. Speakers shall not address matters involving students or personnel, as these topics may violate confidentiality and are not appropriate in a public forum. Public comment is the school board's opportunity to listen to the speaker. Since our purpose is to hear from you, The board will not engage in dialogue with the audience or whomever is at the podium. Matters requiring a response will be directed to the superintendent for research and response. The superintendent may report back on such matters at a subsequent business meeting session as appropriate. The school board carefully considers your comments when deciding on matters brought before us. We appreciate your attendance and your input. Our first speakers tonight are Mr. Ken Childress and Mr. Brian Donnelly.
Ken Childress, just wanted to update you on the moving into the automotive shop in the high school. We've cleared out some material in there to make some room, and we anticipate hopefully getting in there by March and getting set up.
Brian Donnelly, Mathews. In terms of the club status that we've been running this year, it looks like it's going to work out better for us if we transfer to a team status. We've been working with the administration at the high school, in particular the athletic director, and she's done the research and is preparing the paperwork for us to engage as a team. There's lots of benefits to the school for that. It makes everything easier. So we hope that, that come the fall we'll be an active team instead of just the club that we are now. So our next steps are to submit the paperwork to the sports league. There's some training, some coaches training that we want to do, and preparation for being coaches. And then, as Ken said, setting up the robotics lab. So that's where we are.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Our next speaker will be Mr. John Matheson.
Good evening. I just wanted to give everyone a quick update on what's going on with the GICL Foundation. First thing is we have a new website, which I would love for all you to go visit. It gives updates on what we're doing. The address for that is www.giclfoundation.com. That way you can also check on what's coming up, but just to let you know what is, our first Dine to Donate is coming up on March 12th, which is a Thursday, and that will be at Howard Dooley Cafe. And so we would love to see you there for breakfast or lunch or dinner. We'll be there all day raising money for the students here in Mathews. The second thing that we have going as far as a fundraiser for the winter and spring is something new for us, and that is we have printed up a community savings book. It's the old coupon book we all knew and loved, but this is for merchants in town. Again, all proceeds from this are going back to the students in Mathews. So basically it is about 200 hours or so in savings, and the book is ridiculously priced at $25. So, and all the vendors are in Mathews except Compass Entertainment, which was kind enough to be part of the book itself. You can find the books at any of the merchants that in town that are in here, the Visitor Center, or Stewart's Tile and Carpet Center. You can buy them there, and there's actually two different books. And the only difference between the two is one of the merchants wanted to be in half of them, and the other merchant wanted to be in the other half of them. All the other ones, and there's 12 coupons in it. All the rest of them are in all of the booklets. So hopefully you will want to purchase some in the near future and send your friends to the website and everything else. And the reason why we're raising the money is we want to get rid of it. We don't want to have it sitting in our coffers. We want it back in the schools, and I'm very happy to announce that we have agreed to sponsor the 6th grade and 7th grade science department field trips to the Virginia Living Museum so that parents will have a zero balance due on that. So every kid can go. I don't know about you guys. I forgot a lot about what I did in school, but I always remember the field trips and what those do. And what was really wonderful about this is they listed also out all the SOLs that this is helping with. So we're very pleased to do that. So please come out to our fundraisers so we can give the money right back to the schools here.
Thank you, Mr. Matheson.
Date for Howard Dooley, I didn't hear that.
March 12th.
March 12th.
March 12th, thank you.
Thank you. I don't have any others signed up. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to approach the podium? If so, please state your name and address.
Richard Hicks, North Virginia. Last week, the marquee in front of the school said, 16 February is President's Day. This is not correct. It is Washington's birthday, a federal holiday as designated by Congress in 1879. Just a little education for the school board, the superintendent, the staff, teachers, and students. And hopefully next year, the marquee will be correct. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. Is there anyone else who'd like to approach the podium? There being none, we will move on to item 5, our superintendent's informational reports, with item 5.1, the attendance update.
All right, a quick look at our January attendance. Again, attendance numbers look pretty good compared to last year. This time last year, the exception being we had a huge spike in tardies at the high school for the month. I think one of the things I mentioned last month when we talked about attendance and tardies, one of the observations that Ms. Thomas shared was, especially in the days following a snow event, we saw a stark increase in tardies at all 3 schools. So that is borne out to be pretty accurate for the month of January, as we had several kind of snowy, icy, somewhat hazardous days. So we just saw a huge spike in tardies for the month of January. But all in all, in terms of where we are with warning letters, attendance plans being developed, we're in pretty good shape. There are some pockets at the elementary school that we're still working on and working with families, but in terms of where we are on pace for chronically absent students this time compared to last year, we stand to be in pretty good shape for our attendance. So that's due a lot to communications and administrators working to communicate with families, Ms. Thomas's work, phoning families, developing attendance plans, the school counselors working to make sure students are getting to school, and we're trying to remove barriers and to make sure our kids are getting here. So,
Members, any comments? I would just like to give a big thank you to Ms. Thomas. She's doing a fantastic job, and she's obviously building a lot of bridges and relationships with students and families, and it's showing. So,
and a
thank
big
you.
piece too with what Ms. Thomas does is she's our liaison with a lot of the court services. So as we have students whose families or they them just individually are involved with court services, she is our liaison with them and working with, again, Commonwealth Attorney, historically that office, but also juvenile justice and everyone in that office. So she's provides a great deal of assistance to those families, but also to court services and the division. So again,
Great, thank you. Moving on to item 5.2, our financial report from Mrs. Emma Hundley.
Good evening.
Need-
All right, through the month of January, we expended 48% of our operating budget. We're still keeping an eye out on the substitute line because it's still trending high due to unexpected long-term absences. And also, we have notified the schools that we are going to freeze spending at the end of February, just until we can see what our ADM comes into in March. And also, but they can still do emergency purchases and anything that they need. They can just have to get approval before they purchase it. That's all I have for this month. Is there any questions?
Questions, board? I do have a couple questions.
Yes, ma'am.
On page 7, I was wondering if you could explain the reimbursement process on the governor's school. There's a little note there.
That's the summer governor's school. It's just an in and out thing. We were just
Okay.
their fiscal agent, so that's basically the money that we received that they, to run the program. And then since we are no longer the fiscal agent, we had to return anything that was left over back to the regional summer program.
Okay, great, that makes sense. And I was wondering, on that, also on that page, the gifted education, we seem to have an overage, an overspending there, an overexpenditure. Is that accounted for in a?
Yes, it was the way it was budgeted.
Okay.
The full salary was not budgeted there, but the full salary is coming out of that line for that gifted education teacher.
Okay, so that has been accounted for?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then finally, I was wondering, I have no idea, so I'm just asking, we have some lines that say other use of funds or miscellaneous, and I was wondering if the board could, at your leisure, have some detail on those, and also if you had a total dollar amount that is in those categories. Perhaps it's very small, but I'm curious about that.
Okay, I'll get that for you.
Thank you.
For me. Is that it?
Any other questions, comments? Thank you, Mrs. Hundley.
Thank you.
So item 5.3, the VDOE mathematics grants. Information would be, from Dr. Daniel, would be great.
Sure. So Ms. Hundley, to my left, has put in a great deal of work applying for grants through the Department of Education. So we're part of 2 grants, the Mathematics Acceleration Grant. It's a competitive grant process. Mathews received a Mathematics Acceleration Grant from the DOE. The purpose of the funding is to expand access to advanced courses for students. Our proposal includes supporting 4 teachers to expand their endorsements in math, which will allow them to teach additional math courses. So what this allows, based on licensure for individual teachers, it will allow them to extend upward and teach more advanced content in their grade level or in their area. So it'll allow, say, for example, an elementary school teacher whose license may be K-6 to expand their licensure into middle school mathematics to expose elementary students to middle school mathematics concepts. Additionally, for middle school teachers to then add high school licensure, high school mathematics licensure onto their existing licensure. So that requires some coursework, additional testing for them to be able to do that. This grant allows us to pay for that coursework, that testing for those teachers. So we have four of our math teachers who signed on, willing to go put in the additional time to go back and take classes to add to their skill base, to provide additional benefits to our students, to do all those things. So committed teachers going and doing that, and we're appreciative for Ms. Hundley to go apply for those grants and do the legwork to get that. The second is the Mathematics Innovation Grant. Again, competitive grant process. We received Math Innovation Grant from the DOE as part of a regional consortium, including 4 other school divisions in collaboration with Virginia Commonwealth University. The purpose of this funding is to improve math instruction and outcomes through high-quality materials. So MCPS our proposal included an adoption of HQIM, which is high-quality instructional materials for K-12, as well as professional development, professional learning opportunities, and support for implementation. So this proposal was fully funded. So what it allows us to do is partner with some neighboring school divisions. It provides a little bit of support for us to then purchase textbooks, supplemental materials, and the training for textbooks and supplemental materials moving forward for next year. So it gets all of us on the same page. It provides a little bit of collaboration, both with some regional partners, but then also with VCU in terms of professional learning access for our teachers to then implement these HQIM.
Great, wonderful.
So.
Yes, Mrs. Hodges?
First of all, this is exciting. This is our, as we all know, math is one of our weaker areas, so this is very exciting. I'm just not sure I understand exactly about the advanced mathematics. I understand the license. I understand that piece of it. So is it the thinking that they will be providing instruction in an advanced level in the classroom? And if so, right now, I'm understanding is that the students that are more advanced, they pull out and they take them, I guess, pull out to go to another class with other like-minded students. So I'm not quite sure how that will work with the present students with the students that might not be in an advanced level, how that's gonna work.
So what it allows us is greater flexibility both within the school, so that teacher may be able to provide a section just for advanced students at a higher level, but it would also provide additional skills for that teacher to provide deeper knowledge, greater insights. Hey, this is how it's going. You need to know this because when you get to this next phase, it's going to look like this, or you're going to need to be able to do this.
So it's a higher level thinking,
So
which,
it gives-
which should help at their grade level.
It does two
Okay.
things. So
Gotcha.
it provides access to higher courses, but it also provides that teacher with greater skill set to provide a depth.
Thank you very much. That's
You're
very
welcome.
Any more comments, questions?
I have
Mr.
one.
Morgan?
A lot of talk about advanced math, which I will confess is a lot of it, most of it's over my head. But in my time teaching, what I noticed more was the students that struggled with the basics, more so than advanced. If I had a student in my carpentry class that was in an advanced math class, they did extremely well at advanced math, but it was the students that were just doing the basic math or the old-fashioned arithmetic that seemed to struggle. Is there any emphasis being put on trying to strengthen our basic math instruction?
Yes, so we have all-in tutoring to kind of backfill where there are deficits with students in some of those basic math fluency gaps and skills. So we've double blocked in middle school math to provide more time for math content, more time for math instruction to boost math performance. The other piece that we are looking at is in terms of scheduling and how we and when we accelerate students through math. So we're trying to provide within the schedule more time, but also what we found was kind of, while you saw some of your advanced students were doing quite fine, we saw a lot of our advanced students kind of hit a brick wall, if you will, at geometry. And so we've looked at how and when we are identifying students for kind of that accelerated path to make sure that they have all the required skills and concepts and knowledge to really have that strong foundation to build those advanced concepts on top of. So we've done a lot in terms of scheduling in the last 2 years to really double block and provide emphasis for math instruction, making sure we're monitoring student progress, identifying skills where students are lacking, and then we've been using the all-in tutoring. The middle school, for example, also has a power-up kind of built in during the day, mini little support tutoring block to support students with math and reading skills.
Good, thank you, sir.
On to item 5.4, information for school board.
Okay. So several items available for you all. So the financial reports are available for you to look at, as well as second semester field trips. Also activities that each school is doing for Black History Month. I'm going to bring your attention to a couple pieces. One is the special, I'll start with the academic calendar. So draft one of the academic calendar is for you all to review. In that is the calendar, but there are also highlights. I'll go over a little bit of the highlights. Part of what is different about this calendar in previous years is this is while the start date is roughly the same as it is this school year, it is 2 weeks before Labor Day, because Labor Day in 2026 is relatively late. So this has the division starting 2 weeks before Labor Day, but it's roughly, this year I think we started on the 25th. This year, students would start on the 24th. So that's kind of a philosophical change. Draft one has us in alignment in terms of start date with most of our neighbors, Gloucester, Middlesex, New Kent, West Point. It has a professional development or workday at the end of each quarter. There are 177 instructional days. This is 2 instructional days fewer than we have this current year. As a reminder, the state requirement is 990 hours or 180 days. I think every school division I know of uses the hours and tracking the number of instructional hours during the day. So the thought of, oh, we've got to have 180 days, that's no longer part of state code. There are 195 teacher days. The other kind of thing about this calendar is in 2027, Easter falls on March 28th. So this calendar aligns spring break, then follows Easter. So Easter Sunday, and then you move into spring break. So, and also on this calendar, Good Friday would be a teacher workday. So it's the way third quarter ends, aligns up fairly nicely with Easter holiday and then spring break. We don't always align spring break to Easter. Part of it just kind of happens to fall nicely this year, or in this calendar with this proposal. The hurdle, one of the things we've talked about in years past with calendars is alignment with Gloucester and spring break. So this draft does not currently align with Gloucester's proposed spring break for next year. It does, however, align us to our other neighboring school divisions with whom we participate in athletics with. That has been a challenge this school year because our spring breaks don't align. So trying to schedule spring sporting events during our spring break doesn't work, and therefore it doesn't work during our other schools' spring break. So it's about 2 weeks where we're kind of out being able to schedule events. Not that we should design calendars around sporting events, but it's something to keep in mind. This calendar, draft one, also aligns us for the most part with Chesapeake Bay Governor's School. So there still may be an issue with June 4th, that last weekend, and state track meet. So we'll kind of have to work through that a little bit. Memorial Day is also very late in 2027, so that becomes kind of a bump there. The last piece to think about with calendars is that there's some legislation within the General Assembly right now that looks at when SOL tests have to be administered. So there's a bill that was approved last year that is being considered for revision this year, but it requires most SOL testing to occur the last 2 weeks of school. So that really shrinks the window that we can provide testing. It impacts some of your ceremonial things, especially in the lower grades that occur in those last couple weeks of school, getting projects and things along those lines. The bill that's in the General Assembly includes a lot of things related to testing and kind of end of the year, but we'll have to monitor that bill with this calendar to see if we need to make adjustments for, like right now, I think the last day has a half day, but if we may still need a full day for testing or retesting students for expedited retakes, things along those lines. So we'll have to kind of keep in mind kind of those last 2 weeks, that last little bit of school for how this bill ends up playing out. Survey was sent out to teachers, to administrators, given 2 drafts of a calendar, one with a little bit later starting date. It then has a later finish date. Overwhelmingly, faculty and staff preferred draft 1. I don't think they loved the idea of it being 2 weeks before Labor Day, but it's roughly the same start time. I can share the other kind of comments from the survey, but I got a pretty good response on the survey, but about 80, I think it was about 83% of the respondents, and I think there were about 65 respondents, so about 83% preferred draft 1. So if we need to make any tweaks on the calendar before next month, I'll let you know, but just putting it out for public consumption. I also ran it by Planning Council. They kind of took a look at it. They really didn't have a whole lot of concern about the calendar. So I feel pretty good about draft 1, but I'll ask the board to take a vote on it next month.
Mrs. Hodges?
So if this bill goes through, clearly we're not going to understand all the repercussions from it, but the expedited retakes is, I'm just wondering about that. You only have a small window, it seems, to be able to do that, so you can't do an expedited retake once school is out, correct? In other words, if you end school on the 4th and you have a student, you know what I'm asking.
I'm going to refer to our division
Yes.
director of testing
Okay.
on some of those nuances.
Right, because I may just preface for my colleagues here that, that's a big thing, and now you can do it in the lower grades as well, so it's not just at the high school, and it helps our scores a lot if they're really close and they just need one more, question answered correctly, that kind of thing, so.
So luckily for everybody, I just came from the state DDOT meeting, so I have lots of very recent information.
Okay.
The 2-week window would include all expedited retakes. That would not be an exception to the 2-week window if that legislation remains in place. So that House bill actually passed last year, but then was delayed a year. There are twin bills right now in the Senate and the House making some modifications to that original legislation. But at this time, the 2-week piece is still there for 9 through 12. There may be a 3rd week added in for 7 and 8, but too soon to know for sure what the implications of that will be. But right now, you are correct. Expedited retakes are available beginning in 3rd grade all the way to end of course. Generally speaking, at a 375, but there are some credit accommodations for students with disabilities on IEPs or 504s that could extend that window a little bit. So expedited retakes are an important part of our testing process, so we would have to be really deliberate in how we schedule that window. Right now, we have a 4-week window. That's what the state requires of us, and for example, this year, our testing window is May 4th to the 29th, and we will use each and every one of those days. It's busy for us to get it done in 4 weeks, so there's a lot of concern today at the state DDOT meeting just about the logistics of what the implementation would look like with that legislation, and I'm sure our contacts in the Office of Student Assessment will keep us updated, but right now I don't have anything solidified, but your understanding is correct.
So, and you may or may not know the answer to this. So is the thinking that this would provide more instructional time before they test? Is that
speak
it,
to what
or
the
is it
thinking
that they're
is.
concerned, or maybe both of these, are concerned that once they test, then they're still in school and they're not getting the instruction that the General Assembly thinks, well, many of us think that they should be getting.
Right, I think
Or is
the
there another-
patron of the bill is the teacher. So it's
Ah.
based on, you know, his perspective as an educator, I think. And that gained a
Thank
lot
you.
of,
That's helpful.
you know, support based on his stance being an educator and a legislator at the same time.
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful.
The bill also includes requiring SOL performance to have an impact on a student's grade. So their score on the SOL should count up to 10% of their grade. There's not clear information on what that looks like at this point that I'm aware of. So, you know, do you get, you know, what equates to an A, what equates to a B? How does that translate into the 10%? So that still sort of needs to be fleshed out a bit. And then there are implications in terms of testing, in terms of our bandwidth to be able to have twice as many students testing either at the same time or running a morning testing session and an afternoon session, students having multiple SOL tests in a week. Basically, we would need all the testing to kind of take place in a week to then give us time for expedited retakes for the second week, because you have to provide instruction prior to that expedited retake occurring. Also, too, when you have new tests, they have to be equated, so they have to have a certain number of students to have taken the test to do all the statistical analyses. So sometimes there's a lag from when the test is first given and first students are taking it until we get scores back, and then you have to, so there's more stuff on the back end than sometimes everyone realizes.
And my concern is, I mean, I'm sure they wanted to be part of the grade as an incentive to do well on it, I suspect. My concern is it's a double whammy for students who are struggling to begin with, who don't get special education, don't get accommodations. They're possibly not doing well in the class because they have difficulty learning, and then they don't pass the test. And that's my concern, that it's not a fair or level playing field to those students. That's just, unless there's more information coming in, that's kind of my first thought
Again,
about it.
like, you know, if you pass, does that mean it's an A? Does that mean it's
I
a
know,
C?
exactly.
You know, does
Or is it-
currently our pass
Exactly, that's-
scale is
well, that too.
400 is a pass. So if you get a 405, is that the same as a 72? Is that the same as 100? Like, how do you, so there are just lots of,
Yeah, pieces.
like, as the state would refer to frequently as business rules. So we don't have the business rules for what this is supposed to look like. And the other piece is, you know, there's a parent opt-out. So if your parent opts you out, do you get a 0? Right. It's a
No opt-out in Virginia.
refusal, sorry, a parent refusal. So then if there's a refusal, so then what do you, like, how,
Does that student
how do,
get?
right, again, we need some guidance on the business rules,
Yes.
sorry. So,
Okay,
right.
thank you.
you're
Ms.
welcome.
Diggs?
On the flip side of that, I've heard teachers in the past that said the SOL, since they were given so early, the students felt like, I can go home now and that's it. So I would think on that end of things, it might be
Yeah.
a good thing for the students.
I think there's some great intentions
Right.
Intentions behind it, and I
hear
think
you too.
it's even worse when you think about AP tests, and those are given earlier in the, you know, early in May or late April for that window. And so if you're, you know, teacher of an AP class, like, kind of, you've done all the things, you kids have already, so now how do you, you know, what are you adding on to that towards the end? Because that's kind of nationally standardized, so.
But the good news about the AP test, and I thought about this and then forgot, is starting school earlier does give them more time. I remember one year when we started a bit late, we had a teacher start that class early to make sure they could get all of that curriculum completed before the first 2 weeks in May.
The second item I'll call to your attention.
Excuse me,
I'm
Dr.
sorry,
Daniel?
sorry, I'm jumping the gun.
Just a small point before we leave this heavy topic. I believe there's a small point for next year.
Very good. So, and I think we updated it on
Yes, I believe
this
that's correct.
here calendar. So it says February 15th. It lists George Washington's birthday
Thank you.
as a teacher workday and a professional.
Excellent.
So we made that correction
Most
on the
excellent.
calendar going forward, and we'll make sure that's part of our verbiage
Thank you so much.
going forward. Thank you for reminding me to talk about that.
Thank you.
So the other thing I want to highlight is the April 21st, 2026.
Yes.
So because our schools are used as polling places, we don't have definitive confirmation yet, but it's looking pretty likely that Virginia will have a special election on April 21st. Next month, we'll have to do, in all likelihood, a calendar adjustment for this school year, having the April 21st as, we'll move it to a teacher workday. So students will stay home on April 21st. In all likelihood, the board will take a vote on that next month, but just giving parents a heads up, community a heads up, that change to the calendar is pretty likely. But we'll keep it as a professional development / teacher workday for teachers. We'll think through parking and the like on school grounds. I don't think that'll be a huge challenge for us. Does the board, are there any questions about anything from financial report or Black History Month activities or field trips? Okay, then I think we're ready
Okay.
for item 6.
Great. Item 6, school board informational reports. Item 6.1, school board conferences and webinars. Everyone has their listing of expectations for courses, information. Tomorrow, is it Thursday, is the Title IX. I believe several of us are taking that course, at least virtually. So be sure to check off on any needs that you have on that list. Item 6.2, board and committee reports by members. We have January through June are covered for supervisors' meetings. Is there anyone who would like to or has a report to give regarding any board membership that they have? If not, I just have one quick thing then. For the Bay Consortium Workforce Development Board, BCWDB, I attend that meeting as the liaison, as the CLEO also, which is the chief local elected official. And I just wanted to alert the board and the community to 2 new members of that board that I think will be helpful to us going forward. One is Ann Rector. She's the Healthcare Talent Development Coordinator, and she promotes exposure to occupations in the healthcare field. And both of these people are new additions, and they are really just super positive, energized people. And she is taking to TikTok to get the word out on healthcare professions for kids. This is where kids are looking for information. And so we're going to put it to good use. She would be a great contact as Gloucester is being incorporated into our region for Bay Consortium. She does a lot. She's already worked a lot with Gloucester. We know they have the nursing program there, but I've spoken to her directly, and she is open to any questions or needs that we may have where she can help. The second person is Beth Sharp. She is the career influencer, and she is kind of taking over Giles Scott's position. And she is going to be having a senior summit at Essex High School at the end of April. I asked her if she would have a virtual aspect to that because it'll be hard for some of our students to be able to get there. She was going to work on that. This is for how to interview, how to dress, all the kinds of things, basics on job acquisition. She's also having something called a Future Fest, which is for 7th graders. This is going to be for next September, on the September 26th in Richmond. And this is just to begin to get job or occupation awareness in a hands-on fashion for our youngsters. So these are two women who are really motivated, like I said, and I know that Giles Scott was so wonderful, worked so well with us and our counselors at the high school. I hope we continue to have that relationship with these women as well, and the Bay Consortium Workforce Development Board.
Dr. Gibbs, are they going to be sharing this information with our school counselors to make sure our students are aware, like the health occupations? And also, I know at the high school, I assume they still do that, the mock interviews, so that maybe do something with the school counselors or whoever, so they know how to dress appropriately. Because I think they already do something. This might add some depth to it.
Right, and actually, Mrs. Dodge reached out to me several weeks ago asking for the replacement contact for Mr. Giles, and so I do think that is already in the works. But also, Mr. Applegate, he is no longer here, but I've invited these two ladies to come to the next CTE advisory meeting, and so they will be part of that virtually, I'm sure, as they are able to join. And so, yes, they will have FaceTime with our division, yes.
Good, that's good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I say one thing?
Yes, Mr. Morgan.
And this, just to bring the board members up to date, as you already know, Mrs. Hodges and myself are the Policy Review Committee. And we met, I guess it's been a little over a week ago now, went through several policies, recommended a few tweaks on some of them. But just the main thing I want to share with you this evening is there's an awful lot of legislation in the General Assembly right now. Has not become law yet. If it does, then some of our policies, probably quite a few of our policies, are going to have to be completely redone. So just a heads up that there may be a lot of changes on the way.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan.
And if I may, Dr.
Ms.
Gibbs,
Diggs, yes.
I would just like to thank Mr. Morgan, Ms. Hodges for the work that they're doing, because I got to see a little bit of that the other day, and I have the policy manual also, and it's a huge task, as I guess we all know, and I just want to thank you too.
Right, and in collaboration with Ms. Lau and Dr. Daniel, Ms. Hunley, and everyone, it's a team
Exactly.
effort, for sure.
I didn't mean to leave you guys out.
I just totally agree. All right, if there are no more comments, we'll move on to item 7, our action items. Item 7.1, seeking a motion.
Okay. I make a motion to take off the table the motion to approve school board policy services through SBMA that was tabled at the January 20th, 26th regular monthly meeting.
So thank you, Ms. Bohannon Stewart. Do I have a second?
Second?
Thank you, Mrs. Hodges. Is there discussion?
I do have a couple of things. I have been looking into this, as I mentioned to you all earlier on, and for the public listening tonight, first off, we have to be in compliance with the law, of course, with our policies. SBMA was established in 2022, and the organization provides resources, trainings, policy writing, and services to school boards here in the Commonwealth.
Ms. Diggs? I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Oh.
This motion is to take from the table
Take
the
it off.
motion?
I
So
beg your
perhaps,
pardon. Once again,
okay?
Sorry,
okay.
guys.
So hold on
Later.
those thoughts, and we will
I'll
get to
hold
them.
that.
Okay. Is there discussion pertaining to the taking from the table the motion to approve? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Moving to item 7.2, seeking a motion for the approval of policy services through SBMA. May I have a motion?
Yes, I'll make the motion for the approval of policy services through School Board Member Alliance.
Well, thank you, Mr. Morgan. Do we have a second?
I second that.
Thank you, Ms. Bohannon Stewart. Is there discussion? Ms. Diggs?
yes, this is the time. Okay. Looking on, I won't repeat what I just said a moment ago, but looking on to the other one, the Virginia School Board Association, that was established in 1906. And so the difference in those two organizations is about 102 years. And so Virginia School Board Association is a voluntary, nonpartisan organization of the Virginia School Boards. It promotes excellence in public education through leadership, advocacy, and services. And as we just said, Ms. Hodges and Mr. Morgan are reviewing our policies and making revisions and suggestions. If the SBMA has a vetted policy that we are updating, that they are updating, all is good. But when we have an outdated policy, as a lot of ours are, and they do not have a policy for that, it's my understanding that we have to go to our attorney at a fee and get advice there from them. If the Virginia School Board Association has a complete repository while SBMA is building on theirs, then we may have that taken care of for the policy changes we need to make. So as I have learned in growing older, we get some experience down the way, and hopefully it is wise decisions, and I tend to see that an advantage in an organization that has been around for 126 years. And so I just wanted to share that with the general public and you folks, you fellow board members tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Diggs. Mr. Morgan?
Yeah, Ms. Diggs, I appreciate your concern. The first item under their scope of services, this is SBMA.
Okay.
The very first item says, updated policy templates reflecting state and federal education law changes. So they are, as much as humanly possible,
Right.
on top of changes.
Right.
And like I said earlier, we're probably going to be looking at some changes.
Sure.
They provide a template for your policy. You don't have to necessarily follow it word for word. They're giving us, or whoever subscribes, they'll get a template. And we are, as long as we follow the code of Virginia, we can make certain little tweaks one way or the other, but we do have to follow the law. You're exactly right.
Thank you.
Comments? Mrs. Hodges?
As some of my colleagues know, have concerns similar to what Ms. Diggs mentioned in jumping into a new advocacy group, a new group that doesn't have the longevity, the experience, and adopting that organization for our policies, which are something we need to take very seriously. So I do believe VSBA is more established, more experienced in this area. And if we were in July or June, I would say I would not support this motion, but we are without policies. And that's where we find ourselves. So we need to have policies. We put off a month because we needed some clarification on SBMA and their contract. We've received that. VSBA only provides it for a year at a time. They will not do half of a year or less than a year. And please correct me if I'm wrong on that. So I think we're at a point where I don't see where we have options at this point for remaining of this year. And so for that reason, I will support this motion, but I do have concerns, and we'll see. as the next few months and weeks roll out, as to what they look like, what the policies look like. I did read, thank you for Dr. Gibbs for a couple samples that you sent to us in email. But I do have concerns about a new organization just starting out and getting their feet wet in such a serious and significant area. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Hodges. Ms. Bohannon-Stewart?
I like trying new things, and, you know, I think it's good to try something new and different that I did all the time as a teacher. And anyway, that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Bohannon-Stewart. I will just add, and I do appreciate all my colleagues' comments, that the SBMA has a shorter term. They have crafted a shorter term for us to basically, what I would say, have a taste test of their policy services. The services would go through May 31st, and then we would necessarily have to renew those or go with another option, but this would give us an opportunity to try the policy services during a very busy, active policy semester, which we are all anticipating. So if that gives anyone any more information, you are correct, Mrs. Hodges, that VSBA will provide annual policy services 1 year at a time in total. They will not break that up. So, and this, just for everyone's clear understanding, this is not a vote about VSBA membership. This is about procuring policy services from SBMA, separate from that question altogether.
May I ask a
Yes.
question? Do you have I know this is from January 2026 to May 31st, 2026. Do you have the amount that we would pay for the 6 months?
For the 5-month term
5 months
is
now.
$875 as stipulated. $875.
Okay.
The overall cost for both policy services is the same at $2,100 per year.
Okay.
And I'd like to also thank you for triggering my memory here. I spoke to Shelley Norton from SBMA about policies that were dropped in the fall of last year that we did not have access to. We will have access to those, and I think we did have this conversation today. By taking on this section of a year, we would also have access to last fall, which would be helpful, and that would be included in the price that we're seeing here. Any more discussion?
Just one more
Mr.
quick
Morgan.
point. Another item on their scope of services is summaries of enacted or proposed Virginia education laws. And I must say, I think they have done an excellent job up until present, of keeping us informed of these proposed legislative changes.
Those of us who are members?
Yeah, that's right, you have to be a member. We have gotten, I can't count the emails with legislative alerts and advisories and so forth. So they are definitely on top of any new laws, any new changes. I don't think that will be a concern, but as Dr. Gibbs said, this would be a good taste test if you want.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Dr. Daniel has a question, yes.
Just to clarify, you had mentioned, or somebody had mentioned, having access to the policies that came out in the fall. Will this give us access to all of the full what they have in terms of their repository?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's okay.
Great. Any more discussion? We can wait.
All right, yes. So we need policy, I totally understand, and they are offering the rest till May of this.
31st, their
of
new
this-
term starts
right,
June
right.
1st.
And via Virginia School Board is a year.
Right, whenever you start.
Okay, so that is the difference now.
That is one
Am I
difference.
correct? One difference.
Yes.
Okay.
So theoretically, if we were to adopt VSBA policy services as we are members, as a
Yes.
full board of VSBA at this current time,
Yes.
and then perhaps in the future, when renewal came up for VSBA membership, the board opted not to continue its membership, we would not be able to continue policy services with VSBA.
Right, I understand that. But we would switch to the other, which would provide policy.
Yes, we could
Is what
theoretically
we're
do
saying.
that, but we will pay a full year in advance for VSBA, and then whenever the vote came
Uh-huh.
to renew membership, if the board opted not to continue its membership, policy services would stop, and we will have paid that full year in advance, but it's just another consideration.
Thank you.
Regardless, I think policy services are needed imminently,
Yes.
Yes.
yesterday.
Yes.
All right, is there any more discussion? There being none, all those in favor, say aye. All those opposed, say no. Motion passes. Item 8, citizens' comments on items discussed during meeting. Is there anyone who'd like to approach the podium? Please state your name and address for the school board clerk.
Good evening, Sharon Fry, Port Haywood. Thank you for your service. When I was running for school board, I was introduced to the School Board Member Alliance in its infancy. It's quite an incredible program that they have going. They have come from infancy, nothing like Virginia School Board Association, which is quite old, and some of us don't like change. But if you really get in touch with these people and listen to these people, they have a lot on board. They have a great concern for our children in our school board system. Also, I would like to thank the robotics team. Oh, they're gone. Thank you. And also, I would like to thank John and Gwen Zallen. Thank you so much. And I'd like to purchase one of your coupon books. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fry. Is there anyone else who'd like to approach the podium?
Randy Applegate, teacher at Mathews High School. I just wanted to thank Ken Childress and Brian Donnelly for all the help that they have had. We have a severe need for storage space right now over at the high school, and they're helping to circumvent our needs and get some of that stuff moved and cleaned up, and they've been an immense help to the program. So they put in a lot of hours. I just want to make sure it's on record that they're getting the credit for that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Applegate. Is there anyone else? There being none, we'll move on to school board members' reports. Members, do you have any reports or comments? Mrs. Hodges?
I did. I just want to ask if we could include in future meetings updates on where we are with, I'm not sure I should use the word contracting yet, but for how to move forward on our building
Restructuring.
changes, construction acquisition, I'm not sure. So if we could just maybe get updates in the superintendents for future meetings, that would be helpful.
I agree.
I know some of you are intimately aware of what's going on, but I just like to hear about the progress that I'm sure is being made in that area.
To clarify, you're speaking of the restructuring updates and the architectural?
Architecture, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, I agree. Yeah, that's great. And we will make that a standing item going forward, I believe. Any other members have comments or reports? Moving on to item 9.1 with reports. No. Anything that anyone wants to say? Okay. Moving on then to item 10, other business by school board members or superintendent. 10.1, there will be a public hearing for FY27 school budget Tuesday, February 24th, 2026 at 5 p.m. in this building in the auditorium at Thomas Hunter Middle School. Item 10.2, there will be a joint Mathews Board of Supervisors and Mathews School Board budget work session that same evening, Tuesday, February 24th, 2026 at 6 p.m. in the auditorium here at Thomas Hunter Middle School. Item 10.3, next week, the school board will have a work session on Wednesday, February 25th, 2026, from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. in the Chesapeake Bank Community Room. If you could please arrive and be ready to go by 7:45, members, that would be great. Item 10.4, we will have a joint Mathews Board of Supervisors and Mathews School Board budget work session Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026, at 6 p.m. in the same location, the auditorium at Thomas Hunter Middle School. And item 10.5, our next monthly closed meeting will be Tuesday, March 17th, 2026 at 5 p.m. in this building, in this auditorium at the Thomas Hunter Middle School, followed by our next regular monthly meeting, Tuesday, March 17th, 2026 at 6 p.m. in the same auditorium at Thomas Hunter Middle School. If there are no other comments or information to be given, this business meeting is adjourned.